Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of the Football History Headlines, we discuss the sponsorship change of the Collegiate Football Rules Book back in the 19th century, and the Big Tuna arrives back in the Big Apple in the 20th century, as well as many more Hall of Fame legendary stories and birthdays coming up for you in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And I'm sorry, but we have to really start the podcast today on a solemn note, because I became aware last evening that one of our friends, Frank Redding, fellow podcaster here on Sports History Network, is no longer with us. Frank passed away earlier this week, and thoughts and prayers to Frank's family and to him. Very, very nice guy. I got the opportunity and the pleasure to talk with him and interview him. We did a couple podcasts here of talking about his favorite Washington Redskins football player. And Frank did such a great job of his boxing podcast, which is Ringside with Redding. Make sure you check that out. And so hearts and prayers go out to Frank Redding and his family. So with that, let's try to keep on going, because that's the way Frank would want us to do, and we're going to keep going with the football history headlines. We're going to bring you some great football history from February 11th today, and we're going to go back all the way to 1892, and we're not sure exactly this happened on February 11th, but we do know it happened in the month of February in 1892, and George Wright decided to sell the Wright and Ditson sporting goods interests, including all the important Wrights and Ditson's publications, to A.G. Spalding after the death of partner Harry A. Ditson on November 15, 1891. This included giving Spalding the exclusive rights to sponsor and supply the football rules books to players and coaches, including the entire Spalding Goods sporting goods catalog inside it. And Spalding continued the Wright and Ditson name on some of his products all the way into the 1970s. Now, I collect some of these early collegiate football rules books. I have probably a half dozen of them scattered between the 1920s to 1930s. They're all the Spalding football rules guide, and they're the rules book, and they have ads, just like they said, for Spalding goods in it, and you get some really cool advertisements in there. I'll have to share some of those more with you on Pigskin Dispatch. But before that, it was a Wright and Ditson that got the rights to put the football rules books together, and they sold their products. They were also a sporting goods line, and some interesting things. I do not own any Wright and Ditson books, but sounds like something interesting that maybe I'll have to aspire to collect. Sounds like a very good one indeed. Well, this did happen on February 11th in 1997. Bill Parcells became the head coach of the New York Jets. Parcells coached the Jets for 3 seasons and then retired in 1999. The Big Tuna brought success to the franchise too, as this team was 9-7 in his first season, 12-4 in 1998, and then they finished with an 8-8 record near the end there. So, yeah, it's good to see when Parcells came back into the Big Apple to coach football. What a ball coach he was. Now we got some Hall of Fame birthdays for this February 11th. And we're going to go way back, even before the Wright and Ditson books. 1882, Nashville, Tennessee. Vanderbilt's once great halfback, John Tigert, was born. The National Football Foundation describes Tigert as the foundation of the Vandy backfield during the early 1900s. John was an all-Southern selection, but when he played, it was thought that he was snubbed from the national spotlight due to Walter Camp and the other fellows being reluctant to name players from the South, the Mason-Dixon line, or, even into the Midwest to his All-American teams. Mostly, they claimed an Eastern bias, which I think to some extent they're probably pretty accurate on that. Tigert became Vanderbilt's first Rhodes Scholar and was a Phi Beta Kappa before graduation. John Tigert was honored with induction into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1970 after the National Football Foundation tallied up their induction votes. His contributions to college football and many other collegiate athletic endeavors go far beyond what he did on the football field. College students that are involved with sports owe a great due of gratitude to John T. Tigert, as he is credited with devising and implementing the Athletic Grant and Aid Program when he served as the president of the University of Florida and as a United States Commissioner of Education. So, he was a great student, Phi Beta Kappa, Rhodes Scholar, great football player, star at Vandy, did all these things. And then after graduation, he went on to do some great things to help further the education of college athletes right up into this day. And we owe that man a great due of respect, John Tigert. February 11th, 1949, Mount Vernon, Ohio. Jim Stillwagon, the awesome defensive tackle from Ohio State University, stakes the claim of his date of birth on this February 11th. The footballfoundation.org website tells us how Stillwagon played for the Hall of Fame coach Woody Hayes' Buckeye teams from 1968 through 1970. And in that span, Ohio State football, they were pretty good because they had a 27-2 record, won 2 national championships, and including the consensus national title in 1968. The anchor of the Ohio State University defensive line took home hardware for this great work too. Stillwagon was the first player to win the Lombardi Award in 1970, and he also won the Outland Trophy that same season, and that's for the best offensive or defensive lineman. So very rare that a defensive lineman gets it, but Outland goes to him in 1970. He was also named a consensus All-American in 1969 and a unanimous All-American in 1970, along with being honored as the UPI's Defensive Lineman of the Year. Quite an honor there too. The National Football Foundation selected Jim Stillwagon to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1991. Boy, not a lot of football information, but some great information. The Wright and Ditson selling the Spalding, Jim Stillwagon, Mr. Tigert, John Tigert from Vandy, as all the great things that he did, and Bill Parcells starting to coach the New York Jets. So some great football history. We're glad you joined us here once again. Hope that you'll check us out more. We have all kinds of great information on PigskinDispatch.com. We have a great search box on their search engine. We have a lot of our content can be searched there, and it takes you all around to other websites too, including Sports History Network and some more of our friends, and some great things, articles I've come across on some other great websites, ESPN, sports references, and things like that. We hope you do that. Also, we have the JerseyDispatch.com website and the Sports Jersey Dispatch podcast. If you haven't checked that out yet, we are having a ton of fun with that, going over some sports history from the 4 major team sports by looking at the uniforms and the player numbers and the players that wore them, and learning. It's my personal quest to learn more about sports history, and boy, am I learning a lot, because I've got some great friends and I'm doing some great reading and research, and boy, just having a blast doing that. Hope you come along for the ride. That is the Sports Jersey Dispatch podcast on JerseyDispatch.com. Also found on the SportsHistoryNetwork.com, where my friends, there's about 24 of us on there doing some great podcasts. Like I said, check out Frank Redding's Ringside with Redding, and all the other fellas on there that some great podcasts. They did some really good work, and you'll hear the great work that Frank has done in the podcasting that he enjoyed so much. So until tomorrow, everybody, have a great gridiron day. That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. we invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.